the early morning quiet shattered by rolling thunder. They came to honour, to remember.
I lost an uncle 2.5 years ago. He was killed in the line of duty.
Sergeant Jeffrey Richardson was killed during a chase in the Hunter Valley.
Just career cop, loved every bit of it.
The annual wall-to-wall ride remembers officers who have given their lives in the line of duty.
Gives us an opportunity each year to reflect and commemorate those who have fallen.
This is the 9th wall-to-wall. What started as a small group of riders has grown to more than 2,500, all honouring the thin blue line. The names of the fallen are placed in specially designed batons for the trip to Canberra's National Police Memorial.
Police put their lives on the line 24/7 right around Australia.
Yesterday afternoon, Victorian Police Sergeant Vic Kostyuk was killed in a crash near Orbost. He was taking part in the wall-to-wall.
Police do a lot of amazing jobs and amazing things every day of the week that often go unrecognised.
This afternoon, riders from every state and territory converged on the nation's capital. Their engines silenced. Together, they bowed their heads, remembering mates lost. In Canberra, Simon Boda, NBN News.
He was the boss of Donald Trump's successful bid for the White House, but now Paul Manafort has agreed to take part in the investigation into alleged Russian interference in the US election. The former campaign chairman is the latest Trump associate to start cooperating with the long-running Russian probe.
Paul Manafort was staring down the barrel of a second criminal trial when he struck a deal.
Tough day for Mr. Manafort, but he's accepted responsibility, and he wanted to make sure that his family was able to remain safe and live a good life.
The former chair of the Trump election campaign pleading guilty to 1 count of conspiracy and 1 count of witness tampering relating to his work in the Ukraine well before the election campaign in 2016. Last month, in his first trial, he was convicted by a jury on 8 counts of bank and tax fraud. The 69-year-old, already behind bars waiting to be sentenced, could now stay there for up to 10 years.
He's accepted responsibility, and this is for conduct that dates back many years, and everybody should remember that. So thank you, everyone.
The White House insists Paul Manafort's guilty plea is not connected to Donald Trump. This had absolutely nothing to do with the president or his victorious 2016 presidential campaign. It's totally unrelated.
The deal means Paul Manafort has agreed to fully cooperate with the Russia investigation on any and all matters. He'll hand over documents. He's agreed to be interviewed by the special counsel Robert Mueller, and if it comes to it, he'll testify.
Paul Manafort's conviction and guilty plea puts him on a growing list of former Trump allies to flip and start talking. In the United States, Lizzie Pearl, NBN News.
Every weekend at playing fields across the country, young girls are trying their hand at Aussie rules footy in record numbers. But the game is also growing in the United States, and a little-known team is hoping they'll soon have what it takes to go head-to-head with Australia's best.
At a sports bar in Minnesota, there's baseball on the big screen, but it's what's on this laptop that's drawing a crowd. On the screen, a replay of this year's AFLW Grand Final, and watching on, a women's footy team about as far away from the MCG as you can get.
It's a little bit mind-blowing for them. They kind of get a taste of how big that is back there.
Aussie Dale Williams is the coach of the Minnesota Freeze, an all-American team trying their hand at the all-Australian game.
I think the Australian rules football players, both men and women, are the most fit and athletic people in the entire sport world.
Their posts are wonky and their fields shed with softball, but their commitment is impossible to question.
Sometimes we train in the snow, we rent domes.
Catherine Georgiadis has been a mainstay of the Freeze and the American national team, recently taking on the rest of the world in Australia.
You got to meet players from other countries, you got to see how important footy was to the Australians.
Back in Minnesota, training is part skills, part laws of the game.
The umpire could call holding the ball on you, which is this motion. Okay.
New rules and a new uniform that turns heads in a nation used to playing football in pads and a helmet.
I actually got a letter from my grandma. I was like, please don't play footy. I don't think I can watch you play that sport. And that's what I love about it. There's no BS. There's nothing in between you and your opponent.
Popularity is growing here in Minnesota. Still, the team have to travel at times thousands of kilometres for a game. But they say they're happy teaching a whole new country about this whole new sport that's sometimes easy to confuse.
Everybody thinks it's rugby. Well, first off, they asked me if it's rugby. First thing they always say is rugby.
And with an Australian coach, kicking and culture are priorities.
Australia's got a fantastic club culture. Where in the States, it's a little different. They have teams like a softball team or a soccer team, but they don't have a club.
I played softball to volleyball. This is really a unit, and it's technical, and it's exciting, it's fast, and you become a family fast.
And one day they hope to also be watched on the other side of the world.
Oh, it's intense. It's so exciting, and it's not like that here yet, but I really hope 5-10 years from now that we're playing just like that.
In Minneapolis, Minnesota, Charles Croucher, NBN News.
The bronzed surfer is part of our national identity. Generations growing up on the beach, and one photographer has been there to capture it all. Now, John Witzig's iconic photos have gone on display, showing off some of our best beaches, perfect waves, and the famous faces who ride them.
It is now an internationally regarded sport, soon to make its debut at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. But in the 1960s, surfing in Australia was a subculture and snarled at accordingly by the good folk of suburbia.
Got taking gold lodges.
Why was that?
Because you were? Some of us were. Councils like Warringah started to ban surfboards from the beaches. And through the whole year, for heaven's sake.
So the young tribes of surfing would travel the land to find those breaks free of the furrowed brows. And John Witzig would travel with the caravan and document it.
The adventure and the discovery of the Australian coastline was absolutely significant during the second half of the 60s. We used to go down every ratty dirt track that we could find. My mother would have been horrified where I took her car. The premium spot was Noosa Heads, and it was the absolute secret place.
Not everyone would appreciate John's interest.
And I left my camera just set up on a tripod and went for a surf. When I came in, the back was open and the film was pulled out.
John would be there when surfing caught a break through the vessel of Midget Farrelly.
He was one of the people who actually took surfing into the general public in a positive way. His elegance was superb.
And when arthritis cruelled John's ability to take to waves, would train his camera surfside full-time as photographer for seminal surfing magazine Tracks. He would snap Newcastle's Mark Richards, 7-times world champ.
And I was holding the camera out at arm's length, just pressing the shutter when it seemed like it was a sensible thing to do. There was no looking through the viewfinder or anything like that.
So this is a stab in the dark.
It is. It's pure serendipity.
Hawaii's Buzzy Kerbox. I'm thinking you're on the lip of the wave to take this shot.
Yeah, I think I'm just about to go over the falls, and I'm holding the camera out, and I'm right at the peak of the wave, and I'm holding the camera out, and I'm right at the peak of the wave, and about to get thumped. I don't think I ever got another photograph like that.
Bells Beach, 77.
It was one of the great gatherings of the surfing tribe. The natural amphitheatre of Bells just lent itself to an event like this. Nowadays, you're not allowed to go on the heathland because basically we wrecked it by trampling all over it.
And now, more than half a century on, surfing is going to the Olympics.
Most of surfing is big business, and yet there's still the backyard people who are making surfboards in the same sort of way, and they're managing to survive.
An exhibition of John Witzig's work is at the Bondi Pavilion, but the swell's only up until next weekend. Final question, John. Paddleboarders, what do you reckon?
Well, I was never an idiot out in the water, and I certainly wouldn't start now.
Mike Dalton, NBN News.
Plenty of great shots. Great to see a new Newcastle icon included in that one as well.
Richard's legend.
Fantastic. Sam Djodan joins us now with sport. And Sam, it's been a chaotic preparation for the Rabbitohs.
To say the least, Tyson, but it's not long now until we find out how to handle the pressure. Coming up after the break, it's all on the line for the Dragons in South Sydney as the Sharks prevail in a one-point thriller.
Now you can get a different Subway footlong sub of the day every day of the week for just $8. The $8 Subway footlong sub of the day. It's a whole lot of sub for a whole lot less. That's my kind of value.
Quitting isn't easy, but Nicorette Quick Mist can help you quit for good. So you're not stopping, you're starting. New Nicorette Quick Mist Coolberry starts to relieve cravings from 30 seconds with a great tasting mild berry flavour.
Are you currently happy with how your rental property is being managed? Well, here's 2 reasons why you should make a change. Not only are we the best at what we do, but we're going to give you a free holiday. Switch to Rain and Horn today.
At the Burton Family Toyota, you'll always feel welcome. You can relax with a dealership team that understands your needs.
Our priority is to offer better service and better value with no pressure.
The Burton Family, mainly the Port Stevens Toyota.
Tonight, local children as young as 3 have no permanent place to call home. Through no fault of their own, these children have been removed from their parents and urgently need a safe home for life. It takes a village to raise a child. Now our village needs your help.
What? New York pizza?
It's big!
So big, you got folded.
It's our biggest pizza deal ever. Domino's New Yorker Big Pepperoni. Just $14.95 delivered.
$14.95 delivered? That's great.
Polaris Ranger 570 Heavy Duty is the best spec'd mid-sized utility vehicle ever. Let me tell you why. It's got a massive dump box, excellent towing capacity, grease nipples and seals where needed, automatic transmission, 4-wheel descent control, rollover protection structure, electronic power steering, 2-wheel drive, all-wheel drive and turf-friendly rear diff, all at the flick of a switch, plus the biggest range of accessories to make your Ranger just the way you want it. Polaris Ranger 570 HD, hardest working, smoothest riding.
Osteoarthritis causes inflammation in the soft tissue between your joints, which can feel like a burning pain. Nurofen helps to reduce the inflammation and relieve osteoarthritis flare-up pain for up to 8 hours. So when your osteoarthritis flares up, don't just relieve the pain, reduce the inflammation with Nurofen. Talk to your healthcare professional today.
Rexona with Motion Sense. The more you move, the more it works. Now at an everyday low price, moving has never been more rewarding. Rexona, it won't let you down.
It's a do-or-die clash between the Dragons and Rabbitohs tonight. Our coverage begins straight after the news. The Red V would love to have Paul Vaughan on the field, but unfortunately his season ended just before the finals kicked off. Tonight he's opened up about the heartbreak of missing out.
Instead of lacing up his footy boots tonight, Paul Vaughan will still be strapped into a moon boot. The Dragons prop was just days away from making his return to the field when a training accident put that on hold.
I was actually coming back from a syndesmosis injury that I had, and I was 2 weeks early on that. And then we had like a 10-minute repose session, and then one of the bigger fellas fell on my foot and shattered my foot pretty much.
For the first time, Vaughan has revealed the culprit, fellow Dragons big man Blake Laurie, although the accident hasn't ruined their relationship.
No, we're tight, me and Blakey, so he was really apologetic, and it was just sort of one of those things. I told him I'll get a square up in the pre-season, so when we get back to training and I'm fully fit, I'm going to be going after it.
He can laugh about it now, but when Vaughan was first told his season was over and he couldn't be a part of the Dragons' finals campaign, the rep star broke down.
I haven't admitted it, but there were a couple of tears there, only because the year was going so well, and obviously the boys were ready for the finals, and I just really wanted to be a part of that, and now I'm sort of watching from the sidelines.
And watching from the sidelines tonight will be a bittersweet experience.
It's sort of mixed emotions. I really want to be out there and I'm frustrated, but then I'm excited at the same time.